your fucking crap shit.
And I told you to turn it down.
No.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my reading today for the week for March 29th through April 4th of 2026. As always with these, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Please ignore the person I'm with as they are just being mentally abusive right now. We don't need to feed the trolls. I'm going to be playing with the Occult Tarot deck today. Sorry I'm on the floor. I did ask politely for a chair. They did not want to give me one. I asked politely for another place to go. They just told me that they were just going to turn up the TV. But anyway, sorry about the introduction. Usually these are very polite introductions. Usually these are very nice and respectful ones. I very much apologize. I'm just not one to redo my videos. So this is just going to have this little mental abuse in the beginning of this clip. I apologize. So it's labeled correctly for the week ahead read, but the first part of it is mental abuse. Just clarifying. So we have the occult deck here. And it's going to be for the 29th through the 4th. So March 29th through the 4th. Midnight on the 29th all the way to midnight on the 5th. So 11:59 on the 4th, pretty much. I'm going to pull one card for the beginning of the week, one card for the middle of the week, and then one card for the end of the week. Randy Morningstar 747 on TikTok, Thumb and Talk Experience on Facebook, and Randy Mintaka 93 on YouTube. I'm getting a message saying if anybody in your life is claiming to be a guide for you and then acting like you just heard in the beginning of the clip, they're lying. They're not a guide. They're a spiritual narcissist. And as you just heard, they mumbled whatever. So that's pure confirmation if they mumble like that. Because silence and mumble is a form of communication. Okay, they say reverse this one. So we have the Nine of Cups reversed. So what this means is there's going to be a delay in the wish that's been granted due to instant gratification, due to entitlement of wanting it now, wanting it your way, wanting it right away. If it doesn't fit your narrative, then never mind. If it inconveniences you even slightly, then never mind. You care about it until it inconveniences you, and then you find out it's just emotional supply. There seems to be a lot of emotional abuse and neglect, much like what was shown in the beginning of this video, but not just limited to that. It could be worse, it could be different, it could be the same type of energy that's going around. Like there is a lot of low-level, high reactory abuse going on lately, within the last 3 to 4 months anyway. Especially with the Americas, not just the North America, but the South and Central Americas as well. It looks like preying on other people's weaknesses and exploiting other people's emotions to get what you want is going to be seen as well. So people might be using your emotions and your feelings to get to you. So they might be telling you you're worthless, might be calling you a dumbass bitch, might say you're an intelligent person, you figure out the problem I made for you. Even though I solved the problem earlier, and the only reason you have a problem is because I made a problem. It's you're smart, you do it. That kind of passive aggressiveness might be showing up. That is semantic abuse, don't fall for it. That's called fake nice. False positivity, toxic light, in other words. So just don't fall for that kind of crap. Don't put up with that. Apathy and indifference from those that once said they loved you can be within the field as well. So within the last 9 days, or since the 18th, all the way until April 9th, you might be finding out that the reason you lack emotional regularity or emotional maturity or emotional reactivity is because of the energy not only within you but surrounding you. Internalized misogyny, internalized transphobia, internalized homophobia, feeling weaker and emasculated. So then you have to exert power and such on top of it. Remember, guys, I did say that silence is a lesson in spiritual lessons this month, especially for those that are very in tune and those that wish to fulfill an intuition guide role. Hint, hint to listeners who want to be a teacher and not just a follower. Not those that claim to be one and aren't, but those that actually seek it. Time to actually put in that effort and actually care. Because if you had cared as much as you say you don't, you would have gotten a lot farther. But don't focus too much on the shoulda, woulda, coulda with life, as it's going to hinder your progress the more you weigh yourself down like that. Clean the swamp sticks out, so watch the rhetoric around draining swamps and oppressive behaviors. Let's see. Learning about illogical, unethical things going on. So people can be acting illogically or speaking unethically. Like, for instance, a guide that tells you to go to someone else just to save face instead of admit they were wrong. Or go ahead and quit your job if you don't like it, just so I don't have to have you write me up and have a sexual harassment lawsuit against the company, kind of a deal. In the middle of the week, we have the Hierophant. It looks like confinement, traditional styles, rigid roles, rigid beliefs, behaviors that are very narrow-minded at times. So work on your mindset, work on broadening your mindset and refining your intuition so you don't take your ego dissonance out on others, especially for those that are controlling or abusive or highly defensive when they feel like they're being controlled, or they perceive something being said as criticism, or they perceive a neutral observational statement as an attack on their character. It feels like that's still going on. So just be aware of that, because that's having a big impact on how you're treating other people. If you treat other people poorly because of the challenges you go through, because you are conflicted in your mind, because you have different virtues or different outlooks, you are part of the problem. You cannot be saying there's a problem and then be part of it and then complaining that there's a problem. You're putting yourself in a victim of circumstance, being a victimized, malignant narcissist, and it needs to stop. Some of your guides are getting really tired of you blaming them for things they didn't do. Some of your friends are getting tired of being the scapegoat. You're tired of being the scapegoat for some of your friends as well. It's one of those things where everybody's trying to escape the blame by shifting it somewhere else instead of admitting, I was wrong, I don't know, I'm tired, I'm distracted, I don't feel like it, I don't want to. You do it yourself. Instead of saying that, they'd rather blame you, blame someone else, blame the weather, blame the stress, blame their back, blame their pain level, blame their ankles, blame their fucking head, blame their tooth, blame their mental health, just so they don't have to take accountability and hold themselves to the standard they hold you to. It's called double standards, rules for thee but not for me. And that's going to happen a lot during the middle of the week. However, it looks like on Monday there's going to be some sort of verdict that might be ruling in the defendant's favor, provided you follow the rules and you subject yourself to testimonies. If you do not put yourself under oath and you remain silent, you will hinder your progress. You will start to harm your reputation. Your housing might start to dwindle. Your finances might be messed with. Your children or your family might be delayed or stagnant in interaction due to this. There's a lot of things that it's going to impact besides just you. So you need to sit down, shut up, listen, and grow the fuck up. Instead of trying to be a passive-aggressive little bitch boy, start growing up and being a grown-ass woman and admitting when you're wrong. Admit when you're being sensitive. Admit when you don't know. Admit when you're distracted. Instead of blaming the woman for the man choosing. No, we're done with that. Your guides and everyone around you is sick and tired of, oh, but he did this. Oh, but they didn't. Stop excusing the behavior. Just enabling the abuse to continue. Transforming people with dignities is a very strong suit. So transformation thrives in dignity. In order to be dignified, you need courage, bravery, determination, consistency. These are just subjective terms I'm using for my own form of dignity, as everybody perceives dignity in a different way. I'm not reading all of that. Finding favor is going to come. You're going to have some sort of favor being granted to you. Whether it be a friend or an enemy or a frenemy or a friend who pretends to be an enemy, who pretends to be a friend, or a friend who acts more like an enemy, like you heard at the beginning of this fucking video, pretty much. Religious bias is going to be a huge one. Religious activities, religion, like Easter Sunday sticks out, so like a day after this reading is supposed to transpire. The answer you seek within the first few days of the week is no, because the care that is needed, the sensuality that is needed, the emotional maturity that is needed, along with the self-discipline to control oneself and one's emotions, is blocking and hindering your path. So because someone is being overly emotional and either refuses to be silent in it or refuses to sit in silence. Now, if you're like learning the lesson of silence and you need to talk, then that's not what it's talking about. It's literally saying, like, bringing up subjects you know the answer to over and over again just to see if you get a different response. I'm not talking about like PTSD where you have to keep bringing it up over and over and over again to get it out of your mind. That's different. Take care of your mental health no matter what that looks like. Even if others may not agree with your tactics. Unethical treatment and business ethics within like the court system and within housing arrangements can be seen, especially when monetary abuse due to high reactivity and emotions sticks out. So those that are dealing with someone who's very emotional or really feeling driven, or someone who complains about carrying a lot of weight or complains about certain emotions being shared. It just looks like there's someone who's like constantly around you, draining you and claiming that they're there for you. They want to be there for you. They want to marry you. They want to be your guide. They want to help you out. And then they're going to turn around and be like the person you heard at the beginning of this video. And then you're going to go, why didn't I listen the first time? And then you're going to hear yourself go, oh yeah, because I saw the good in them and I ignored the red flags. And then you're going to have to figure out, is it worth staying or should you leave? And if it's worth leaving, you got to figure out how to survive on your own, because you might end up homeless, you might end up losing a lot of things. It's like, is your mental health the priority and your safety? Or is someone else's emotions to hold their hand and make sure their binky don't fall out of their mouth and make sure they have a dry diety on at all times more your style? Because there are a lot of men out there, and women, and non-binary people, and trans people, who claim that they are a big adult grown person and then complain and pitch and piss and moan and then tell you to grow up while sitting there acting like, well, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that, I want you out of my room, but I don't know where else you should go. That's on you to figure out, even though I'm the only one that wants you to leave. Kind of like that. That's basically what you're going to deal with from an adult. Not from a child. Because children can act like that. That's how they act. They're allowed to do that. But autism and or ADHD and or PTSD and or schizophrenia, etc., does not give them right to act this way because they choose to stay unmedicated or because they choose to not listen to what therapy says or not take therapy or go against DBT classes or whatever the case may be, or not sign up for that AANA meeting or whatever the case. Some people just don't want the help. Some people just want to play victim and then turn around and make it your fault. Because it can't be their fault they're in victim mode when they're the ones making themselves play victim. This is what I'm picking up, guys. I'm not trying to vent. And strength is for our last one. And this is in reverse. So at the end of the week, we have weakness in heart, mind, body, soul, spirit, due to a heavy impact, due to feeling confined, feeling powerless, being controlled by an authoritarian or fascist figure, like someone who thinks they can control your life or gets threatened by your autonomy. Like basically, if you say it's their choice and you try to hold them accountable, you're at fault, stuff like that. Let's see. Destruction and chaos guides and demons might be impacting the future, or might be helpful within the week. This is also why to know is because you're going to lack the strength. You're going to be really weak because you're dealing with something you shouldn't be dealing with, because you either chose to walk back to someone who is unhealthy for you, or you choose to stay in a cycle of loathing and self-doubt and self-hatred. Or you're choosing to try to blame other people so you don't have to work on yourself. There's something going on that is blocking the path of least resistance and putting more resistance on you that needs to be. Someone's making mountains out of molehills and making candy canes and pointy sticks out of their ass, basically. Just because it smells good doesn't mean it didn't come from the ass. Kind of a deal here. Intense energies are going to be around, but pay attention to the subtleties. Like if you get so distracted that you have to ask a guide 5 times what they said and then they go silent, pay attention to the silence. Just because it triggers you to where you want to blame your student for asking for help doesn't mean the silence wasn't an answer. Silence can still be an answer even if you don't understand what the answer is. So just be aware of that. Oh, wait a minute. Because I can't focus with fire in the room, so my roommate wants to burn something. Okay. So, this is why they don't get above roommate status. Let's see. Cause and effect law sticks out. So you may not have been the cause of the issue, but you still are affected by it. It may not be because of you, but you are still impacted. So because of someone else's actions, you are now weak. Because somebody else did something to you, you are now feeling powerless. Because someone else did something, said something, did not say something, went silent, you are now punishing yourself, punishing someone else. Look towards yourself. Why are you so bent on suffering and punishment and pain and martyrdom? Why would you rather stay in an abusive cycle than change? You can get dignity and be honorable with transparency. Yet, there's no communication. Blind faith is demanded. If you don't get blind loyalty, the devotion and commitments promised fall through flat on their face and are not held. Meaning they will break their promise if you don't do it and convenience them, which is not fair for anybody. Not you, not the person doing it, not the way they think at least. It looks like you'll be better off alone, otherwise it's going to end badly. Because if you keep trusting this one person, you're going to be weak every day. You're going to be confined every day to traditional rules and obedience and shit. And that's bullcrap. Even the lack of sex. Don't give out sex to anybody that treats you like what you heard in the video today. Don't give your compassion and your creativity up simply because someone wants to control you and shame you and humiliate you. You want to draw, you want a little play in the bedroom, wear a diaper, go out and play pacifier. Who cares? Do what you want to do. Be a furry. Just make sure that you are willing to make do with the consequences, but do not, for the love of God, allow other people that refuse to grow up tell you to grow up. And that is the last message I get for the 29th through the 4th of 29th of February, 29th of March through April 4th of 2026. So if these take a resonance, so it doesn't. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope to see you on my other videos I'm planning to do today.